So Strike Suit Zero is inspired by games, classic games, such as X-Wing vs TIE Fighter, Free Space, Wing Commander, Colony Wars, and a mixture of Zone of the Enders in a little way as well, and also by sort of great movies and TV series. Obviously Star Wars, things like Battlestar Galactica, sort of cultural influences in the space genre too. It's a space combat game. And has an East meets West blend between sort of like a very Western feel in terms of the way it plays, with a slight Eastern blend on the designs of the ships, and also Eastern sensibilities in the fact that you actually have a ship that can transform from a fighter mode into a mecha combat mode as well. Important to us to make you feel like the hero, and that there's something special about you, and especially the strike suit, the ship that you're in, and that's what makes you heroic. However, we wanted to make sure that it feels like through the story you're part of something big, something that's going on that affects not just you but all the characters around you and the force that you're a part of, and in fact the whole of your civilization on Earth. But also during the combat, that it wasn't just about you fighting something and those things only care about you. There's many scenarios where there are fleets of ships that are busy destroying each other, with fighters on both sides fighting amongst each other, and you're in the middle. You can make a difference to how that battle goes, but it's a battle nonetheless. It's got its own actions and reactions. We got in touch with Paul and Junji right near the beginning of the game, because we were very inspired by their work. We knew kind of what we wanted to for a look for the game, and like I said, we wanted a blend of East and West. Junji delivers that because his designs are very industrial. He's a true mecha designer. He really thinks about how mecha would work. He thinks about the designs of the ships and what functions they perform, but he has a certain look to him that you can tell is an Eastern, a Japanese look. However, the skin that we put over that, the texture, the theme is again industrial and quite Western, which I think creates a good blend that's hopefully not alienating one or the other, and so far it's gone well. Paul Ruskay, we just loved his work on Homeworld. It's just an absolutely beautiful soundtrack, and he's done a fantastic job for Strike Suit. And through our investor friend, he knew a lady called Coquille, and she's a Japanese vocalist, and actually she's teamed up with Paul to create the soundtrack for the game, and they've created some really beautiful music. And in fact, we're selling the soundtrack separately because some people have said, I'd love to own the soundtrack. I just really want to have the soundtrack. So we're going to do that as well. Story-wise, I mean, Paul and Coquille have got on so well that they want to do more in the future, I've heard. And Junji's been fantastic in supporting us through our developer diaries, and we hope to work with him again. Well, the mod editor is coming along really well. I mean, the Kickstarter backers allowed that to happen by taking us over the line on Kickstarter and achieving our stretch goal. We've been creating the mod editor, and there's a guy called Will back in the office. He's been working on that, working really hard, and it's coming along really well. I mean, you can change the craft, you can change what's on the craft, you can change the mission elements. There's a lot of the game that you can change. If somebody wants to try and recreate something from another IP or game or whichever in our mod editor, I want them to be able to do that, because I know what I would do if I had hold of the mod editor. I used to love editing anything I got my hands on many years ago, like all the Quake and Half-Life editors and so on. So I know what I would do if I got hold of this. I can't say what I do, but I know what I do. So I hope to see some of those experiences created in our game. It should be really interesting to see what people do, and then once they try some things, maybe they would help us by saying, okay, I could do up to this level of detail, but I'd really like to have that part of the game unlocked so I can create this or this or this. So we'll see. Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, they should be able to do a lot, but we hope to open up more as time goes on. So we were Double Six Games. We were concentrating mainly on PlayStation Network and XBLA. We created a Double Six in 2007 as a Kuju studio. Really quite forward-looking, really thinking that digital distribution was going to be big and we should do this, and it's true, it was big, and we were quite forward-looking, and we created some really cool games during our time. And then we got to a period when we had a direction as a studio we wanted to go, and the sort of Kuju board had a direction that they wanted to go, and we said, well, we want to go this way, you want to go that way, and we split, I suppose you could call it. We divorced and created Born in a good way. Yeah, no, it's all very friendly. It's very good, and they wished us well, and we've taken the investor who'd part invested in the game when it was under Double Six. He came with us, and he's still part of that journey. And in fact, he's one of the owners of this bar we're in today. So that's why we're in this bar, you know. Sort of like it's all links together. And he's a fantastic guy. I mean, he loves all things sci-fi and geeky and fun, and you know. So it's that's why he's investing in great games and great locations. Kickstarter's been fantastic. I mean, we can't believe how good the experience is. It goes way beyond the financial. I mean, our reasons for doing Kickstarter were not to start our game, we'd already started, but actually to give ourselves more time to complete the game, because we had been to Eurogamer and PAX and Gamescom. We had lots of feedback from all those shows. We looked at the game itself and just knew that we could just do a little bit more, and everybody always says that, they always want to do a little bit more, but we thought, how can we get ourselves that extra time? How is that possible? So we looked at Kickstarter to fund ourselves for a few more months, so that we didn't have to come out in October, but actually come out in January. And it's a gamble, because you don't know it's going to work, but we felt that as long as we gave an honest story, we were honest with the people, and we said it as it is with our video, and said, we just want a bit more time, we can make it so much better. Here's what it looks like now, and here's the things that we want to do, and that really worked. Now, the Kickstarter, not only did the backers really get behind us, and you know, it was successful, and we achieved the goal and more. The financial side of it was one thing, but actually what's been really good is the community of people that we've got together. So we got 4,500 backers. They've been brilliant. They've been really, because they've got now a very strong engagement with the game and what we're doing, we've been able to talk to them about our game. We've been able to send them beta keys. They've been very understanding of the beta and said, that's good, but what about this, this and this? That didn't work, or maybe they've just got a bug. They've come back to us and really fed back brilliantly and helped improve the game beyond just the time. So it didn't end up being the time and the money, but actually the backers themselves have helped improve our game, which has been brilliant. And then the other part of it was the third part, again, which we didn't reckon for, was just generally, because so many people are interested and enjoying Kickstarter and talking about it, they, I guess the media at large has shown more of an interest than we would have been able to afford to have PR people and things like this, that people have just gone, Kickstarter, that's great. Regards talking about other things on Kickstarter, as I said, we in, I suppose, 2009, 2010, said we want to make a space game. We really want to make games that don't exist anymore, because the box game market, the big publishers have had to make third-person action adventures and first-person shooters and racing games and things, because they need to serve a huge market. But the core gamers, the hobbyists, still exist. They are a smaller group, still big enough, and they love way more than just those genres, and they want to see these things that they haven't played for a long time. So I think Kickstarter actually in itself helps those happen. It's going to help that happen, and it's shown through things like Star Citizen and Elite that people do want space combat. They do want space games, so I think that Kickstarter is allowing niche, what's considered a niche genre, but actually is basically a gamer's game, to come back and be made again, which is brilliant.
Okay.
I think it's not just the space opera genre or the space genre. I think there are a lot of genres that are going to come back, and in fact new ones being invented. And I think that's because of digital distribution means that the developers have a direct relationship with the customer. It's taking out the middleman to some extent, but also because you can reach a niche on a global basis. I mean, the iPhone is a fantastic example of that, whereby there are millions of people with them, and there might be tens of thousands of people who, which is a very small niche, who like turn-based tactics games, for example. But a developer can say, well, I like to make turn-based tactics games, I'm going to try, I'm going to make one, and actually those tens of thousands of people, as long as I make a good game, they'll buy it, I'll serve them, they'll talk to me, and I'll have this great relationship one-to-one with my now community, because they like me, I like them. I'll make games for them, and they can tell me what they'd like to see next, and how different I could make it. And I think that's the same with Steam and digital distribution and PC, especially at the moment, creating those relationships where you go on Steam and there's like turn-based RPGs like the old Eye of the Beholder, and and bizarre indie games, and alongside big AAA games. And I think that that's really, really healthy. And I keep saying this, that I think that now is a great time to be a gamer, because you're getting so many experiences, and you can get them instantly. You can get them really quickly, and you can have experiences of things that in the last almost 15 years. And I think it also breeds a new kind of relationship, which I think is really healthy, between, again, developer and player, in that the developer can actually say to the player, my game's not finished. Not all of them perhaps, but some say, my game's not finished. I'm going to give you a white box of a level, but I know that you understand enough now, I've seen that you understand enough that play it, tell me how it worked. I'll put some metrics in so I can see how you play, and also write to me and tell me what you thought. And then I'll improve that, and I'll learn from that experience, and then when the game comes out with not only that level but more levels, I'll provide you a great experience. And I think that whole sort of like open, closed alpha, closed beta, open beta sort of model can work not just with multiplayer online games, but actually with lots of different types of games, where you've now got a relationship with your community, and you can ask your community to work with you to create what they will then consume and enjoy.